not a lot of jobs and internships are actually posted and public.
You are giving them a chance to do something that feels good and useful to them.
That's what networking really is all about, is uncovering the things that aren't so visible all the time. Hi there, it's Cameron Vakilian with Inspire, the podcast where we discuss what makes a successful career and why. For this episode, we are doing a live event today on job and internship searching. So I'm here with my colleague Dan Moseson, and we're going to be walking through the various ways you can find jobs and internships. All right, hello everybody, welcome. This is a really important topic today, jobs and internship searching. We know you all are here because you have those questions. Many other students have the same questions. So we're filming today so that it can be accessible. So thank you so much for that. I'm joined with Dan today. A lot of you know Dan, you're a career coach in humanities. Mm-hmm. So we are going through various ways to find jobs and internships, some ways you probably already know, some ways you probably haven't heard of. As you know, we live in a world where it is so much about who you know and how to get connected, and that's how you find various positions. Not a lot of jobs and internships are actually posted and public. A lot of these things get developed through networking and talking to people. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those non-conventional ways of finding internships and jobs as well. Yeah, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Dan, to talk about Handshake and such.
All right, don't be weird on camera. Don't be weird on... Sorry, that was my internal monologue coming out. I fully plan to be weird on camera. Handshake is something you really want to be familiar with as a student at the U, whatever your major is. This is where a lot of the job postings are and a bunch of others as well. If you are enrolled as a student, you have a Handshake account. You just have to go activate it. When you log in, this is what you'll see. Today we're talking about job search, which with Handshake is fairly easy. It works almost exactly like any other job search site you've used. I just want to show you, you can specify a job or an internship or both. So let's do internship, full-time, part-time. So we're going to look basically everywhere, including remote and hybrid. So technical writer, summer internships, jobs in various locations. This one's remote. Proposal writing is something you all in humanities should check out.
And you might sometimes need to get a little crafty with this, right? Like if you are interested in, something very specific, you may want to broaden the search a little bit, because this is really just going to pull any kind of keywords from the job description. So you may get bombarded with stuff if all you put in is communication, right? Mm-hmm. You'll get a ton of things. So you could use things like quotations, you can use commas, that will help you just sort of guide that. But as you know, Handshake is geared to college students. So that's why we promote Handshake a lot. This is a job board where they are looking for college students in entry-level positions. Mm-hmm. So one of the criticisms to Handshake is there's not a lot on there compared to other job boards out there. But the reason why we promote it so much is because it is for you as new professionals and students in college. So that's where you'll be able to have more luck with these kind of postings, whereas if you go to Indeed or other places, that's going to be all over. This is the traditional methods of applying to jobs and internships, which means you will get lots of rejections. You will not hear back from people. This is unfortunately how the world of applying to jobs and internships, as you know, goes. It's frustrating, but it happens. And so we want to prepare you for that, to know if you apply for lots. Have a good amount of interest so that you're putting enough applications out there so you have options. And when you're getting calls for interviews, you can really weigh your options in that way.
I want to do, what can I do with this major?
Yeah.
So another thing under Career Center and resources, this is a very, very useful tool called What Can I Do with This Major? Provides an absolute ton of information on what you can do with a particular major. So somebody call out your major. Psychology? Okay, there we go. Common career paths just in the human services umbrella. Huge list of employers. Now, I really like these strategies to move toward this field. And these are things you should take really, really seriously, because these are your practical steps to explore that path and start to build your profile to actually work in that area. So they'll just go down all the different fields you can approach with this degree. So this is human services is like counseling and other things. Research, which is going to be more on the academic side, probably. All the different places you can work, strategies to pursue, and then also they'll show you this for education, human resources, business, and then some general tips here for, and professional associations as well. This is super, super useful, just treasure trove of information. If somebody read through this before they come to meet with me for a coaching appointment, I would love that. I think that would be so just productive and get it off on a great foot.
Professional associations have their own job boards attached to them.
Yep.
So let's say you're interested in, higher ed, for example. That's what I did my master's in, and that's the field I'm in now. There's a national association that is for higher ed professionals.
Several. Right?
Several, yep. They have job boards. So I will go into those job boards to look up where jobs exist. So there's Indeed, right? Glassdoor, all kinds within different associations, as we mentioned. What I'll say about Indeed is, or any kind of major external job board, is that you may be prone to some scams out there. And that's because those big sites tend to have a lot of people just posting all kinds of stuff. So you don't really know if you're getting sometimes the most legitimate jobs or internships out there. If you do one interview, and it's especially like a chat interview, those are always a little bit sketchy when you do a chat interview. They exist. I mean, some companies have really interesting recruiting processes, but for the most part, make sure that you really trust that you're talking to somebody who really works there. The only information you should be giving about your personal details, like your social security or your, any kind, especially bank information, is that you have gone through several interview processes and you have met somebody and they have offered you the position and they're literally giving you a W-2 to be a part of the job. So now let's move on and talk more about how you can do some research and less conventional ways of finding jobs and internships, because we talked about the traditional methods that we all know. You can apply for formalized positions online. But the reality is, in this job market we're in right now, that these jobs aren't even sometimes posted that exist out there. I mean, if you think about all the jobs that are out there, people that doing something you really enjoy, chances are that they got that job through either knowing somebody, or they have worked their way up, or they have created that position through enough experience or knowing somebody or being connected. I mean, that is how so many jobs come to be, is through this networking process. So that would mean that in your job search and internship search, you need to be doing lots of networking yourself to uncover these kind of opportunities, because many of these opportunities might not exist until you make them exist, or you uncover them before they're even posted, or things like that. Somebody give me their interest of where they would want to look for jobs in another area of some sort. Let's say education and coordination might be the two keywords that you want to use there, right? Well, let's go first. I think the best place to start is alumni. Always go with alumni, because alumni are going to be the most likely people to help you and to write back to you because you have that connection. First off, we want to go to the University of Utah's LinkedIn page, because as you are all University of Utah students, you want to connect with alumni there. Alumni tab is a really advanced search engine. This will tell you where all 171,596 alumni are at the university, and what they're up to, and where they're living, and what they're doing. We could put in education and coordinator. Let's put coordinator in there and see what comes up. So then now this is going to give us all the alumni who have that in their job title, or have had that in their job title. Tons more people with this. Let's take out education and maybe put museum.
Yeah, or even just museum. I think that would work.
Maybe,
well.
let's just put, museum. So now this tells you all the people with museum in their job title, or in their keywords, or anything.
Yep.
Let's go with something maybe none of us have heard of before.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what an alumni is doing at a different kind of museum place. Utah-based curator and arts administrator. That might give you some inspiration to go, okay, let me look at Springfield Museum of Art's website and see what opportunities are there. Because what would happen, right, if you found an internship posted and say, hey, we are alum of the university. I am curious, I saw this posting that was for the Springfield Museum of Art. I saw your contact as somebody who works there. Would you have some time to tell me a little bit more about the position or maybe some other similar roles in that setting? Put in your pitch, they give you their story, right, about how they got to where they're at or what it might take. You should do this kind of stuff while you're in college. You should, be thinking about this. And then whenever you have questions about that same kind of position that might pop up and you keep them in your network, these are the things that lead to you getting called for something like, hey, we're doing an internship. I thought of you because you had scheduled this informational interview with me. Would you be interested? I can put in a good word, and that's what networking really is all about, is uncovering the things that aren't so visible all the time by just showing your interest, showing genuine commitment to wanting opportunities, and people want to help you in that regard. Now, will people ignore you in this process? Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like you will write to somebody on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm a student, I need help, and you may not get anything back.
Right.
That's why the best thing to do is to go into Springfield Museum of Art, look at their contact page, like staff, like we could probably go in and then let's just put staff contact and see what comes up here. Museum staff, there we go. Much better to contact their email address directly than on LinkedIn. But something that's professional, you can even attach your resume. I think that's totally appropriate. Maybe some other people might disagree with me on that, but I think it's totally okay to just slide that into any message, just, as a, here's my resume. If there's anything that pops up, would love to discuss more. Especially if you have an interest that's really niche or that you really want to go into something very specific that you only know a couple people doing in that world. That's where you should definitely do informational interviews and network and find out more about what it takes to be in that field. I mean, how you find things is you have to talk to people. And I know it can be like scary, but I think a lot of times just remember people genuinely want to help you.
And a properly written message to somebody who is kind of a high-powered person will stand out from the sea of people just asking them for a job, which they probably get a lot of. People often think as well, like, oh, I'm imposing on this person by asking for a little bit of their time. You're not. If they don't have time, they won't get back to you. But you are, in fact, giving them something. First of all, you're giving them you as a contact, potentially, which could be useful to them in the future. But also, you are giving them a chance to be a mentor, which people like to do, and to talk about themselves, which people like to do, whether they'll admit it or not. So you are giving them a chance to do something that feels good and useful to them.
So now I want to kind of shift over back to internships again and talk a little more about that, because internships are a very easy, like it's much easier with internships to do this kind of networking. But an internship is you're in to somewhere. It's a way for you to understand whether you like that field or not. It's kind of your test drive. And it's your way to get more familiar with the organization so you become an insider. And when they're ready to hire, they're most likely going to hire you. Instead of spending 2 hours a week or whatever on job boards and applying to internships, spend maybe an hour of that, but then spend another hour doing these kind of outreach, like this kind of messaging people and doing research on LinkedIn. Replace that hour with that, and you'd be surprised. You'll get some better results and some more, leads to certain things. So any other questions before we move on to some like demos here? You're interested in really anything with the arts. You run an LLC yourself in the arts, but you are looking at something where you can be working at a place that's, maybe 9 to 5, or just some place that is a little bit more with benefits and a little bit of a structure to it. Let's start with LinkedIn here, because you've obviously said Handshake hasn't brought you too much luck. Not surprised. Handshake only has access to certain employers, organizations, and won't have everything. And arts administration is one of those fields. There is a master's in arts administration. You've got your master's going as well, and you've been doing what you need to in that field. But this is one of those examples where it's probably not going to live on a Handshake platform, because not a lot of entry-level positions might say arts administration. Not that they aren't entry-level, but they just might live in various other places, right? First of all, let's just look at maybe if there's the professional associations in arts administrations. And then we're going to go to what can I do with this major? So let's see if they list any professional associations. They do. American Alliance of Museums. Let's like see if there's a job board attached to this association. It looks like it's going to a job board here. Go. I bet that they have the same kind of filters, so we'll want to look locally here in Salt Lake. I'm not going to put any keywords just yet, just because I'm just curious what will pop up on this particular job board.
Want to move to Cleveland and do the coolest job I've ever heard of, the curator of indigenous art? That's amazing.
Nice. Here's one that says education internship.
The National Museum of Wildlife Art in Jackson Hole. That would be.
I'm like, Dan is
I'm going this summer. So, wow, that's. I mean, if you're at all interested in that, apply for this before I do. Okay.
Yeah. So. But as I said, even if your goal is jobs, still doesn't hurt to do internships because they lead to jobs and they lead to other connections. But this is just one I have never heard of this job board before, but it was one we discovered because it just tells you how many job boards are out there. I mean, they just post them everywhere on various platforms. And this was just one professional association. We did the first one, right? Where was the other? Let's go with the College Art Association. College Art Association jobs or internships, and see what pops up. Here we go. There's
nice.
A job board right there for College Art Association.
And internships as well. Look at that.
And internships, yeah. Job opportunities. There's a career center. Again, this might inspire some more searches for you. It could, when you're going to these places or you see other, like we saw the Wildlife Museum, might make you pivot a bit and start searching somewhere else. Anybody else want to go through a demo? Great, yeah. So then, we can see what happens with crime. So, I mean,
mafiajobs.com. Yeah.
You could look up associations as well too, and kind of do a little bit of a Google search on, what associations exist for this kind of field. And by the way, y'all, I have a friend called ChatGPT. So let's say, what associations or job boards exist in criminal profiling? Here we go. Here's some associations that are in this. A global association of criminal profilers.
Oh, wow.
Primary law enforcement professionals. Wow, it gave us a lot of information here. So that's why I love ChatGPT. It can be a really good, can just introduce you to all of these like places. I put in, do they have job boards? Yes, several associations do have job boards. It looks like these ones will be the ones that have them. But like, I would use ChatGPT sometimes as a way to kind of like uncover some various associations or job boards in that field and then do some digging from there. Again, your best bet on all of this with your job and internship search is getting in touch with people.
Yep.
The more people you get in touch with, the more emails you're writing and the more replies you're getting back from people, even when it's not a job opportunity or internship, that is where you're spending that's the most valuable way you can spend your time, is by talking with people. If you're endlessly applying to things and you're just constantly submitting applications, it can be very frustrating. So make sure you're also spending a lot of time talking to people. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see you around. Take care. Join us next episode where we will have Sheila Geiby, a full-time content creator and alum of the university in international studies and communication. She'll be joining us to talk about her journey in becoming a full-time content creator and the career opportunities that exist in that world. Thanks for listening.